Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the National Hockey Now Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now. It is Tuesday, January 31st. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, as the All-Star break approaches. 2 days of NHL action before the break. 3 games tonight and 2 games tomorrow night. Of course, we'll talk about all 3 Tuesday night games on the card in just a few moments. But before we get into that and before we talk the lone game last night, there was a massive trade that went down in the National Hockey League on Monday. Late Monday afternoon, the Vancouver Canucks and the New York Islanders. And we thought we would have weeks and weeks of speculation and rumors and rumblings throughout the league about Bo Horvat and where is he going to land, which team is going to get him to rev up for a playoff push. And basically the Canucks and Jim Rutherford, Patrick Allvin, the management group said, basically robbed the networks of weeks worth of coverage for this shit, essentially. They said, we're not waiting around. We have a trade partner. We have a deal we like, and we're making that move. And the Vancouver Canucks did that last night, of course, sending Bo Horvat to the New York Islanders. A, it was surprising it happened this soon. B, it was surprising that the team he went to was the New York Islanders. And you look at that team, because I always envisioned it. And by the way, I should mention the entire trade. It was Bo Horvat to the Islanders, and in return to the Vancouver Canucks, Anthony Beauvillier, Atu Ratu to the Vancouver Canucks, who is, of course, I think one of the more prized, gets of that trade for the Canucks. And of course, the first round pick, which is top 12 protected. As well. It is worth pointing that out about the first round pick that went to the Canucks. So it was basically Horvat to the Islanders in exchange for Anthony Beauvillier, Atu Ratu, and that first round pick to the Vancouver Canucks. When you look at this trade and the way it goes down, we all believed, for the last several weeks that a trade to get Bo Horvat is a win now move. Okay, it is a win now trade. It's a team that's truly thinking we can win a Stanley Cup. Does anybody really think the New York Islanders can truly win a Stanley Cup right now? Now, Bo Horvat makes them a lot better. Okay, we know the kind of offensive season he's having, a career year in that regard. We know the leadership he brings to a dressing room that will instantly, basically, galvanize the dressing room, if you will, for the New York Islanders. When you bring in someone like a Bo Horvat, we know his two-way game is excellent, face-offs. All of that, so many great intangibles that he brings to the team. There's no question he makes them a lot better hockey team. But look at the situation that Lou Lamoriello, Sweet Lou as I call him, has kind of put this team in with this trade. I mean, you talk about they are still not in a playoff spot. They're 2 points behind Pittsburgh for the second wild card spot, and they're 3 points behind Washington, for the first wild card spot. And if you look at this and you sit back and you just look at the landscape of the New York Islanders here, you're not assured of making the playoffs, even with Bo Horvat. And if you get in, where do you think you're landing? Do you really think you're getting beyond one of the top 2 wildcard spots? Because let me remind Islander fans, you're 7 points behind the New York Rangers, who currently sit third in the Metropolitan Division. So, your chances of getting into the top 3 in the division are slim, even if you go on a run with Bo Horvat now in your lineup. So, if you get in the playoffs, you're probably looking at a Boston or Carolina first round, and good luck trying to beat those teams, in a first round series. So for the Islanders to make this kind of move, Lou Lamoriello, you would think has a contingency plan in place, that he's gone further down the line in terms of extending Bo Horvat because he is an unrestricted free agent in the offseason. And yet, here comes the old man in his media press conference yesterday, and that's what I'm calling him, because I think he's kind of not, at the level of a GM he was in his heyday. That's the way I see it, because I don't think he's done as good of a job here in this tenure with the Islanders. Here he comes strolling out to address the media after the trade yesterday, and he says, well, we haven't opened up the discussions yet for an extension with Bo Horvat. Well, hold on now. What do you mean you haven't opened up the discussions for an extension here? So you basically made this move that you may not even get in the playoffs. And if you get in, you're probably one and done in the first round. You're looking at a Bruins and the Hurricanes staring at you down the pike. And you've made this move to get Bo Horvat, who's an unrestricted free agent, who's likely going to have many more, viable locations and options to sign with in the offseason that are probably more interesting, more appealing. And you haven't even come close to discussions with him to extend yet. So you basically made this move, and you've sent Beauvillier. I get it. Beauvillier's had a tough season in the Islanders. With the Islanders, it's been a tough year for him. I think if you're Vancouver, you're seeing change of scenery. Maybe that's going to be good for Beauvillier. We'll get more out of him as a result. Just needs to get a new fresh start somewhere else. But you give up Atu Ratu, who could be he still could be a very good top 6 forward in this league and a great top 2 center in this league. You give up that, and he's had a nice little season here for the Islanders. You give up the first round pick that's top 12 protected. You may not even have Bo Horvat beyond the rest of this season, and you still may not even make the playoffs. And the fact you're coming out there and basically saying that we haven't even started or really gotten into contract negotiations yet to extend Bo Horvat long term. My gosh, you talk about putting your fucking balls on the table. That is what Lou Lamoriello has done right here. I mean, this could be a massive, gigantic swing and miss, because what if multiple things happen? What if this team doesn't make the playoffs? Or what if they get in and they're a one and done because they're a wild card team and they get bounced by a much better Bruin or Hurricanes team in the first round? What happens then? And then what happens if you add on to that? What happens if you don't re-sign Bo Horvat? This ends up being a disaster, is what this ends up being for the New York Islanders. So this is a big risk here for the New York Islanders in terms of making this move, because this to me set up to be a trade that someone that's really close, and I mean really close to a Stanley Cup, a team like that makes this deal, a team that feels that this is our year to hoist Lord Stanley above our head. Did we think at 4 p.m. yesterday afternoon the New York Islanders were this close to a Stanley Cup? Not in my opinion. Yes, he'll make them a lot better, but man, there's a whole lot of risk involved. There's a risk in every trade, I get it, but there's even more risk with Lou Lamoriello doing this, because you could lose the man for nothing, give up Ratu, give up the first round pick, maybe not even make the playoffs still. Yeah, and if you do get in, you very well might be in the first round and out, and you may lose this guy for nothing, because I guarantee you he's going to want a lot. He's going to command a lot. He's coming off a career year. He's going to want big bucks and big term. All right. And the old man here, Lou, is going to have to show he wants to pony up. And he's a cheapskate. I will say this long term. This guy is not the guy in his reputation as a GM to shell out big time contracts. He's just not been that guy. Okay. So if you're the Islanders here, you better hope this team gets on some fucking heaters and fire down the stretch, gets on a run, gets in the playoffs and makes a run at this, which is, right now asking a lot, because I just think the East is a beast this year. And this is not the year to be saying, as a middling team just trying to get into the playoffs, yeah, let's put our chips on the table here and make a huge push for it and sign and bring in a guy and trade for a guy that we may not even have next season because he goes somewhere else. I mean, it is a big time risk here. Alex, what do you think of the deal?
More we talk about it and the more I'm listening to you, the more I realize Lou Lamoriello is crazy like a fox. And I'm making a bold prediction. By March 3rd, Bo Horvat will not be in a New York Islanders uniform. He's going to get moved again. That's what I'm thinking. When you look at this trade and look deeper into it, they freed up some cap space. That was the biggest thing with Beauvillier. I forgot about that. His cap hit $4.19 million. That's a lot to swallow for a guy who's only giving you a few points, a handful of points. So they move him, like I said, change of scenery. Good thing for him going to Vancouver. Rotti's a kind of questionable move. A guy you just drafted 2 years ago who seems to have decent hockey IQ and a solid upside. But I think this is now a piece that the Islanders are going to use to make an even bigger deal. And I think they did this to kind of maybe spite some of those teams in the Eastern Conference. Boston was in hot and heavy talks trying to get, Horvat. There's a couple of teams that are looking at him too. And I think this is more of a keep away move. Now the Isles have a Bo Horvat that they can move along with somebody else and try to get some better draft pieces, get some better, maybe even get some offensive pieces to try to make a run now, but they won't hurt them to the point of where they're just completely lost if they don't make it far into the postseason. So I think they really kind of have actually given themselves a big upper hand by getting Horvat in this deal. I don't think they're going to be done yet, and I think Horvat may only play a few games with the Isles before he goes somewhere else.
It was stunning to me that was the team that got him. I mean, the New York Islanders. I'm thinking for sure Colorado Avalanche gets Bo Horvat, or Boston Bruins get Bo Horvat. You know, a team that I think is closer to their pathway, closer along the road to a Stanley Cup this season than the New York Islanders. But it was, and that's a great point, that this could be a flip. You know, he's going to have a few weeks here before this trade deadline hits to talk to Bo, talk to his agent, and say, okay, here's what we can give you here in Long Island. Here's the money we can give you, the term we can give you. You know, here's some something from an amenities or living standpoint that would appeal to you about being here long term. Here you go, Bo. And what do you think? And don't wait around or let him and haw for an answer. Get this done. See is he initially intrigued. And if he's not, and he's, dragging his feet, you better flip that guy and trade him before the deadline. Simple as that, because then you're really risking losing him for jack shit in the off season.
Well, and that's the thing you just mentioned about Lamoriello. He's tight with the wallet. So the fact that they made this move, and it's already kind of rumored he wants 7-8 years at around $7 or $8 million. If that's not something that Lou wants to do, which more likely would be the case, then like I said, they may already be talking about him going somewhere else, and this was just kind of a bit of a bridge play. I really feel like that's the case, and I know we don't see that too often in the NHL, but I think that it just feels like this could be the case, and I think this takes the Eastern Conference teams out of play and gives a team like Colorado a shot to put together a package and grab him.
Yeah, and I think he's letting the fans do the work for him, or the thinking for him, because there's that viral video that's floating around there from a recent Islanders home game where there's a fan, basically sitting or standing above, where Lou Lamoriello is watching the game and shouting at him, "Hey Lou, Timo Meier, Bo Horvat," just shouting at him. And then he's actually looking up and looking at him. He actually looks at the fan as he's saying it to him, Timo Meier, Bo Horvat. And it's like, maybe the fans he's letting the fans do his thinking, or what? Because he certainly enacted on it. He certainly acted upon it, what that fan was saying. And he ends up getting Bo Horvat. But man, and the thing too with Lou Lamoriello, you have to keep in mind, this guy's like approaching 80 years old. Okay. That's how old he's been. Like, this guy's been in the management circles in the National Hockey League since the 80s. He is 80, right on the nose. He turned 80 in October, Lou Lamoriello. You think he gives two shits about a rebuild right now? No. Okay. Rebuild is not in his vocabulary right now. And clearly this move indicates that. He wants another Stanley Cup. And I think he's kind of being selfish here a little bit. Not a little bit. I think he is being a little bit selfish here. Like, he knows, hey, I'm not going to be around long enough for a rebuild, or certainly maybe living wise he will, but certainly career wise, he's probably going to be packing it in the next couple of years. He's thinking, look, what can I do to make this team good immediately? What can I do to make this team a contender and give them their best chance right now to win a Stanley Cup? I mean, that's what I think he's thinking, a little selfish about a little me instead of we right now with this Islanders team. He's thinking, hey, the clock is ticking. I don't have many more opportunities to try to be a Stanley Cup champion general manager again. And here we go. We're going to do our damnedest here to make this happen. And maybe Bo Horvat's our path to make that happen. I think that there's some thinking there. He's never going to say it out loud, but he's still going to say, oh, I'm doing the best for the organization and all that. But I think this is one of those rare instances and Lou was never really a big time buyer, at trade deadlines past, because they were always consistently good going back to the Devils. My career is going to be ending. It's winding down right now in the next few years. This is a different thinking Lou Lamoriello saying, I got it. Go for it. He wants that brass ring one more time. And this is the trade, I think, that symbolizes that, in my opinion, Alex.
I don't know. I think you're thinking into it a little too heavy. Like I said, I think this is a part of a bigger plan. And like I said, and just kind of going off of the history of Lou, and like I said, he is getting older, and yes, he'd like to make one more chip run, but like I said, this isn't exactly the fit. And even with Horvat, his talent offensively, and yes, he can make Barzal and Lee and those guys a little bit better. I just think there's something else brewing here This is more to this. And I think this is just the first domino of a bigger piece moving forward.
Yeah, if he has any doubts whatsoever that he's not going to be able to bring Bo back, like I say, he's got to look to create another trade before the deadline because, again, I can envision a scenario where the Islanders are out in the first round and or don't make the playoffs at all, and Bo's not back next year, and that is a cataclysmic failure by the New York Islanders if those things happen. So this is going to be definitely something fascinating to watch. We should talk about it from the Canucks standpoint. I mean, Beauvillier, I think, is definitely going to be, I think, revitalized a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just wasn't going well for him. I don't think I know him and Bruce or Barry Trotz, I should say, Anthony Beauvillier and Barry Trotz, you know, they had their issues, you know, that definitely Beauvillier at times didn't play the way Barry Trotz wanted. And I don't know if it's gotten better under Lane Lambert, but Lane Lambert's a disciple of Barry, and, you know, he's not having a great year there. So you could argue maybe it wasn't going well with Lane Lambert either for Anthony Beauvillier. So get another opportunity, you know, get a fresh start. Atu Ratu for the Canucks is someone that they can work with, develop, look to continue to get better. You know, he's got a lot of good offensive instincts, smart player, they say. And so, you know, he might continue to get better. He's certainly going to get a little more opportunity here playing on this Vancouver Canucks team moving forward. And of course, you got the first round pick that's protected to go your way as well. So yeah, there's lots to like right now about the situation for the Canucks. I mean, I feel like Vancouver Canucks fans are just, you know, resigned for, you know, being upset all the time. I mean, the vitriol that they got, that the management was getting from Canucks fans on Twitter for this trade, saying we didn't get enough, the return sucked. Well, hold on now. I mean, can we see it play out? Can we see it play out? Because this reminds me of a Buffalo Sabres franchise that for years their fan base, all they could think of was doom and gloom and the worst. Oh, what a horrible trade. We're still going nowhere. This isn't going to make us any better. That's what they said when they traded O'Reilly Auto Parts, Ryan O'Reilly, to St. Louis, and they got Tage Thompson back at the time. And they wanted no part of that trade. They said, this is what we got in return. Tage fucking Thompson, this is what we got in return. Because Tage Thompson was just a pimple on the hockey world's ass, you know, at that time. That's it. I mean, he hadn't developed at all. And now all of a sudden, look at what we've seen out of Tage Thompson the last 2 years. So sometimes it just takes time for players to develop. And now they're not beaking about that trade anymore. Buffalo Sabre fans, they're obviously loving what they're seeing from Tage Thompson. So sometimes, you know, you've just got to let the thing develop, let time progress, let a player improve, develop in the system. And that's before you evaluate whether it's a winning or a losing trade at the end of the day. Last night, as we turn our attention to the Blues and the Jets game from Monday, the Winnipeg Jets, I thought, played a good game start to finish. I mean, even with the 2-0 deficit early in the third, I thought they outplayed the Blues up until that point. It was actually a very good start to the game for Jordan Binnington, but then Winnipeg finally got their offense on track. And all the chances that they had early in the game that weren't going in, they finally started to cash in on those chances later in the game. A 2-0 St. Louis lead quickly evaporates with 3 goals in rapid succession, and it becomes 3-2 Winnipeg. Josh Morrissey, of course, getting 2 of the goals. And then, of course, into the empty net, Mark Scheifele puts it away, and it's a 4-2 comeback win for the Winnipeg Jets. But, you know, the effort, you know, he wanted the difference makers to show up because he said, you know, you couldn't find them on Saturday night. They did show up for the Winnipeg Jets, and it was just a very good bounce back victory for the Winnipeg Jets at home. Didn't want to go into the All-Star break losing 3 in a row, and they avoid that. And as for the St. Louis Blues, I mean, you could tell this team just needs to get away from an NHL rink right now, the Blues. And Berube said that after the game, saying we just need to hit the reset button, you know, shut your brain off, shut your mind off, and just, you know, just enjoy, you know, the break, you know, relax, have time with your family, all that stuff, and get away from hockey for a bit and just come back and ready to work. I don't know if that's going to change anything for St. Louis because this just looks like a bad hockey team right now. But certainly that's the All-Star break couldn't come at a better time right now for the St. Louis Blues. Even a game where they, you know, they have a 2-0 lead, they can't hold the lead and they lose in the third period, and they get a lead. They can't hold the lead and they end up losing again. So Berube's right on the 100% right with what he said last night. They just need to get away from the rink and forget about hockey for a little bit, this struggling Blues team. Alex, thoughts on last night's game?
Yeah, and it's a great point. There's some teams that are just kind of limping into it, or into this break, or struggling heading into the break, and they just need the time off and make a mark. They don't come back till February 11th, and they're at home. They open up a 4-game homestand against, of all teams, the Arizona Coyotes. So that's something I'm going to be putting a little star next to in my books for sure. But yeah, it's a game, like I said, Winnipeg had to show up and show out. They did that. The Stars, Scheifele getting the 2 goals, an empty netter, which was huge for me. It kept me from having a loss, made that total 6 a push, which is, it's unfortunate. You obviously want to get a win, but I'll take a push over a loss as well. And Wheeler with a good goal, and, a solid start for Hellebuck as he gets ready to go into the All-Star game. So it's a good momentum builder for Winnipeg. Head into the break, you got your win. Now we get some rest, and let's get geared up for the second half. And I think for St. Louis, I still think overall this is a St. Louis team that's trending downward, but I think they might be something to watch out of the break. With that first game, getting Arizona, and maybe we can see just what kind of team. Are they going to just completely fall off the face of the earth and be true, just dump everybody, or are they going to actually, be a decent underdog bet at times and maybe give up, give some teams a fight and a fighting chance before getting knocked out? So that's the way I look at it from St. Louis' point of view.
Yeah, definitely. They are a team, and if they're sputtering coming out of the All-Star break like they've been going into the break, then you can just break this thing up if you're Doug Armstrong and just get the sell. It's auction time at that point. If you're St. Louis, you're going to be looking to be selling at the deadline, and there could be a lot of Blues players in play at the deadline, because if they fall further out of the playoff mix coming out of the break, then I think the decision will be made. It's time to sell and look toward the future. Speaking of looking toward the future, we're looking toward tonight with 3 NHL games on the NHL slate. So let's get to it. We'll begin with the LA Kings and the Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina minus 200 home favorites, 6 the total in this game. Hurricanes, again, just playing terrific hockey for the most part. Great win against Boston on Sunday afternoon, 4-1 over the Bruins. Their 5th straight win, 7-1 in their last 8 games. Keep in mind, before the 7-1 surge for Carolina, in these last 8 games, they had a few losses in a row, but they were fool's gold losses. They were losses where they were outplaying the team, outshooting the team, and they ran into some hot goaltending. We remember the Saros game in particular, where he was just spectacular, 67 saves, I believe, and Nashville won that game that they probably didn't deserve it, but Saros was just that good. So even in the losses they had before these last 8 games, the Hurricanes have been playing some really good hockey, and it's continued. LA's not chopped liver, though. Okay, LA's won 3 of their last 4 on this road trip: Chicago, Philly, Florida. They did lose 5-2 to Tampa Bay, but predictably, we all sensed that was a tough spot for them. Back-to-back, Jonathan Quick in net, who's had a tough season, and they ended up losing to the Lightning that night. But this is a big price to be giving LA, especially when you consider, Carolina, big game against Boston, big win. Can you bring it again here tonight? It does kind of feel like, I don't want to say flat spot. Maybe they've avoided that for the most part. They did have the game that San Jose kind of put a scare into them, where they were down 4-2 late, and they somehow rescued themselves and won 5-4. I mean, I haven't bet LA, but it's certainly the way I would lean in this game. It's a dog or pass spot for me. For as well as the Hurricanes are playing, this does feel like after the Boston game, this may not be a game where you get the Hurricanes A game tonight against the LA Kings. But at the end, I have to make up my decision. Do I really want to step in front of Carolina that badly? I don't know if that's the answer to that is yes. So the lean is LA. I haven't bet it yet. I may not at the end of the night. I do like the over, though, in this game. That is an official play for me. Over 6. It makes sense to me. Carolina has been trending over. The Boston game kind of took on a little bit of a playoff feel. But I think this one gets back to a little bit up and down, a little bit of high-scoring affair. Kings have trended over, 3 straight overs for LA. 4 of the last 5 LA games have gone over the total. Series history-wise dictates the over as well. 3 straight head-to-head meetings with the Kings and the Canes have gone over the total as well. 5-4, 5-1, 4-2 in the last 3 meetings between these 2 teams. So it's been a lot of travel for LA. It's also been a lot of games for Carolina, but at least some of them for them have been at home. Like I say, I lean LA. I just think the price is a little bit high given the situation here for Carolina. Potential letdown, slight letdown after the Boston game. But they have dominated the LA Kings historically, winning 6 straight head-to-head meetings against Los Angeles. So the lean is to LA just because of where they are priced in this game, but I am probably just going to stick to the total here, and I would expect some goals both ways. So Kings Canes over 6 for me in this one. Alex, what do you think here? Los Angeles, Carolina.
Yeah, I'm on the total as well. I like first period and full game overs, and I would probably suggest you can grab them now at 6, and you're only laying $1.35, 1.5. But this is really a good game to wait in game for, in my opinion. You can get that 1.5 at a plus price, and probably a 5.5, maybe laying $1.20, $1.25. So you're still laying one of the two prices, but you're laying it cheaper and you're getting a better number in both if you wait and get this in game. That's more likely what I'm going to be doing here. But sidewise, I get looking at the Kings plus 170, but end of a long road trip, heading into the break, Carolina has been, hot again on a run, and they've also played the Kings very well. They've won 6 straight meetings, including the last 4 in Raleigh. Home team 28-1 the last 29 meetings. So this is going back a ways. We've seen these two teams kind of dominate at home over the years, and like you said, it's been mostly higher scoring. So I just want to stay with the total. I want to stick to the total and stay far away from the side. I could easily see Carolina winning this one, maybe 5-2, 6-2, or I could see the Kings maybe making this a bit of a battle. And this one's 4-3 in overtime. So I'm just going to go with the over.
Yeah, no doubt. And Phoenix Copley in net for the LA Kings, as you would expect, it would be back to him here for LA. This is their final game before the break. Carolina, by the way, is not done. They still have this is a front end of a back-to-back. They are in Buffalo tomorrow night against the Sabres, a TNT game tomorrow night right before the break. So that'll be their final game. Freddie Anderson will be in net tonight for the Carolina Hurricanes. Continues to play great. That is just like it was a concern for me with the over. With the Boston-Carolina game Sunday, he's really playing some good hockey since the injury, since he's come back. So that is concerning for over-bettors like Alex and me, but still, I think that dictates here in this game with LA. They are playing pretty solid at the offensive end. They've been giving up goals, clearly. And even with Copley, his last 2 starts, he's given up 3 goals against the Panthers and the Flyers. And he's been giving up more of the 3+ variety in his recent starts, Phoenix Copley going into this game. So I think that will factor into this game playing out to the over.
I think best case scenario would be like a 4-3 or a 5-4 Carolina win, because then you get that victory that takes them in the second half of the back-to-back, and maybe then they're a bigger of a favorite tomorrow against Buffalo, and then that's the time to fade Carolina.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I'm definitely I'm interested in Buffalo tomorrow. Not to give away what we're liking tomorrow already, but it depends. It's definitely, I got my eye on the Sabres as home dogs tomorrow. We'll see, but a lot of that will depend on how this game plays out tonight with the Kings and the Hurricanes. As far as props go in this game, really, I would stick to Jared. Don't sleep on this guy, JAD, Jared Anderson Dolan. This is a guy that's only playing on the third line, but for the LA Kings, he's actually gotten significant minutes on the power play. So, he's obviously going to get those opportunities. That would be something to consider here in this game. Kempe, Kopitar have been excellent. We keep waiting for Byfield to, spring to life offensively, playing on that top line. It hasn't come easily yet, but definitely still. And Philip Deneau with 2 points in 2 games and a goal in the last game. So that's who I'd look at for LA. For Carolina, you got to stick to Marty Necas. He's got the hot hand right now for the Hurricanes. 3 goals, 4 points in the last 3 games for this Carolina Hurricanes team. He's been just outstanding, especially of all season. He's been good, but especially of late. He's at 21 goals, 24 assists, 45 points in 49 games for Marty Necas. I mean, he's having a marvelous year for the Carolina Hurricanes, and definitely, I think, props involving him worth a look tonight. All right, Ottawa, Montreal, a rematch. These teams played in Ottawa Saturday night, back at it head-to-head in Montreal tonight. We've got the Senators minus 190, road favorites, 6.5 the total in this one. Normally in these spots where you have the same 2 teams playing each other, try to make a case for the team that lost the first meeting. Of course, that was Montreal, shut out 5-0 by Ottawa on Saturday night. But Ottawa's playing some nice hockey. They've won 3 in a row, Islanders, Leafs, Canadiens. Not sure I'm in a rush to step in front of the Sens here tonight, especially because they're going back to Forsberg. Forsberg's in a nice little groove right now for Ottawa. Played well against Toronto. They came back to him on a back-to-back against Montreal, figuring, hey, this is our opportunity maybe to go into the break with some momentum. Let's go with the hot, because the hot goalie is certainly not Cam Talbot right now. for the Ottawa Senators, and he's kind of lost his spot right now for the Sens with Forsberg playing well. So I'm not in a rush to step in front of Ottawa. I don't want them either because they just beat the hell out of this team, and you would think back home, Montreal, even with the personnel issues, is going to play a lot better, a lot harder in front of the home fans here after the 5-0 shutout loss to Ottawa. But they are still very much a depleted group. And, they fought the good fight without Gallagher, Armia, and Monahan, and Caulfield, and Jake Evans, and Drouin, and Slavkovsky. And Edmondson now is day-to-day again on the blue line. Didn't play Saturday, may not play tonight. And you got to be careful with these players that are where it says day-to-day. When you're this close to the All-Star break, I think more often than not, you can bank on them being out. Just give them the rest and let them, get the extra time to heal up and feel better coming out of the All-Star break. So I don't think you'll see Edmondson tonight. And Caden Gooley, of course, has been a big absence on the blue line. So once again, you do have Mike Matheson, but you've got a lot of youngsters after that, Barron and Jack-Eye and Jordan Harris and Johnny Kovacevic. So it's still a very young blue line back there for the Montreal Canadiens. It's got to be scoring by committee. There are actually some appealing prop looks for Montreal. I mean, after getting shut out, I would expect that not to be the case tonight, that they do find some offense. I think the total's in a good spot. I'd lean over, but I don't feel strong about it, especially when the last two meetings have gone under between these two teams. And the way Forsberg's playing as well would concern me about an over in this game. So I'm passing this game from a side and a totals perspective. I'm looking more toward some props in this one. And for Ottawa, it's Claude Giroux right now. I mean, he's just rolling for the Ottawa Senators going into the All-Star break. Props with him make some sense. Stützle's been good. Tkachuk's been good. Matthew Joseph finally got a goal on the top line. Been waiting for that to happen. Ridley Gregg has gotten a couple of points since he's been called up to the Ottawa Senators. So it's been a nice start for Ridley Gregg. Definitely some props there worth a look. For Montreal, I think there's some decent options tonight. Rem Pitlick is on the top line, and he's made some offensive impacts since he's been there, playing with Suzuki and Anderson. Kirby Dach's been solid, centering the second line for the Montreal Canadiens. If you want to go really deep down the board, Raphael Harvey-Pinard didn't score, obviously, against Ottawa Saturday in Ottawa. The whole team didn't score. They got shut out. But Raphael Harvey-Pinard had 3 goals in 3 games before the Ottawa shutout loss. And the 3 goals he scored, they all came on home ice against Detroit and Toronto in Montreal. So I don't think you hesitate to go back to the Harvey-Pinard well for a bargain bin goal scorer prop tonight for the Montreal Canadiens in this game. Alex, any thoughts here? Senators, Canadiens.
Yeah, I actually like Ottawa here in regulation. I laid $1.20 this morning. I think this is one of those cases where you got a team in Ottawa who's, obviously had higher hopes for the season. Now on a 3-game win streak, they get a chance to head into the break with a 4-game win streak if they can get this victory, and try to build some momentum for the second half. Obviously, I don't think it's going to be enough for them to vault themselves into a wild card spot or anything like that. But I think they're just feeling themselves well and getting some good momentum. And the Habs are just a team that's beaten and bruised and kind of looking toward the break, maybe in a different frame of mind. Kind of ready to maybe hang up the skates for a little bit and get some time away from the rink, because it's just been kind of rough, and especially some of the losses they had, the loss they just had against Ottawa just 3 nights ago. So I get where, the revenge angle of being at home would be kind of tempting, especially with this big of a price, but I like Ottawa here. And for what it's worth, I saw this tweet earlier today. It said the Habs are wearing their reverse retros. When they've worn these in 6 games, 0-5-1, and they've been outscored 26-10. So they've gotten killed. We may not see these uniforms ever again once they finish wearing them for the rest of the year. But this is just a Habs team that it's just showing you the struggles that they've had at home and throughout the season, even before having these key pieces out. This is a Habs team that it's going to be hard to back them in any shape or fashion. It's mostly going to be props probably for the Habs in the second half of the season if they continue to play in this kind of a fashion.
Yeah, no question about that. Yeah, Ottawa's won 4 straight head-to-head against the Montreal Canadiens coming into this one, so they've had the better of it. They're playing, they're finally getting on a little bit of a run here, and Forsberg's been a bit. It's not just Forsberg though. Stützle stepping up, Tkachuk stepping up, leading like a captain. Giroux is, I think, having his best offensive surge of the entire season right now for the Senators. Ridley Gregg Like that young kid, since he's been called up and put in on that second line center spot, has given them a shot in the arm. So there's lots to like right now with Ottawa, and we'll see if they continue the good play going into the break tonight against Montreal. All right, final game of this Tuesday slate, Washington Capitals, Columbus Blue Jackets. Washington minus 210, road favorite, 6.5 the total in this one. Tricky spot for Columbus, right? This is a home game to wrap their pre-All-Star break schedule up. One home game against Washington after a lengthy 4-game road trip through Western Canada and then Seattle. So it was a 4-game trip span of 8 days. Actually, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, or I should say 5 days when they were actually 6 days. Yeah, 6 days, 4 games, 6 days, and now they're back home here against Washington. So that's always kind of a bet against spot. It's a Columbus team that, as we saw against Seattle, even the Vancouver game, you could say, kind of ran out of gas, tough back-to-back. The Seattle game was an excellent, I think, bet against spot for Columbus to take Seattle. I was on them first period and full game puck line, the Kraken, when they beat the Blue Jackets on Saturday night. So tricky spot here for Columbus. Jonas Korpisalo will be in net for them here tonight, even though Merzlikins, to his credit, it's been a brutal year for Merzlikins, but that was one of his better games against Seattle. He did everything he could, to keep the Blue Jackets afloat, give them a chance to win that game Saturday night in the Emerald City. But it will be Jonas Korpisalo here tonight for the Columbus Blue Jackets in net for them. And for the Washington Capitals, look, Darcy Kemper took the loss on Sunday afternoon against the Toronto Maple Leafs 5-1, and didn't play great. I don't think it was all his fault. The whole team was just didn't put their best performance on the table, but maybe it's just get him some rest before the All-Star break. But Charlie Lindgren, who we haven't seen actually start for a period of time, is going to be in net, and he finished that game against Toronto as well. So keep that in mind, because Kemper got pulled Sunday afternoon against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Charlie Lindgren finished that game. It'll be Lindgren in between the pipes here for the Washington Capitals. We haven't seen him in a start since January 17th against Minnesota. He gave up 3 goals in a loss in that game. Before that, he started against Nashville, and he gave up 3 goals in that game. So his numbers for the year are still pretty decent, 11-6, 2.66 goals against average, 907 save percentage for Charlie Lindgren this year as a starting goaltender for the Capitals. We'll see if he can progress here in this one. I think with the Washington Capitals coming off the dreadful showing they had against Toronto, they've lost 3 of their last 4. They lost to, or the only win was Pittsburgh in a shootout during that span. This might be an opportunity here to potentially jump on Washington early. I think the first period look is not bad here for Washington. Pounce on, because Columbus's worst part of the game is probably going to be that first 20 minutes. We are coming back home off the roadie, out on the West Coast, and you may not have your legs early. So I think Washington and get the plus price with them in the process, and taking them early in the game. First period puck line, Washington Capitals -0.5, +130, +135. I think that's the way to go. I like that bet. I've made that bet. Capitals first period puck line in this game. As far as the total, I'm interested in the Capitals team total over 3.5 as well. I like that a little bit. I'll probably have a smaller play on that. And 6.5, I'd probably lean over, but I'm going to stay off that and just focus more on Washington. I think for Washington, this is a spot for them where, hey, look where you are in the standings, right? You're hanging on to wild card positioning right now. Do you really want to go into the All-Star break here losing 4 of your last 5 games? You don't. You've got a Columbus team that you've dominated. You've won 6 of the last 7 meetings against the Columbus Blue Jackets. So, I think for Washington, this is one of those times where, again, it's always dicey. Maybe they have checked out already, the Caps, going into the All-Star break. But I think in this game, you need it. You got to get 2 points, kind of like a Winnipeg did last night, scuffling, but you don't want to be going into the break losing games left and right, especially when you're certainly better than this Columbus Blue Jackets team. So I like Washington team total over a little bit, and even more than that, I like Washington -0.5 here, plus 130 to plus 135 in the first period. Alex, what do you think here? Capitals, Blue Jackets.
Yeah, I want to see where the momentum pace is for Washington early. Like I said, they could have checked out already, or they could be kind of taking this game a bit more seriously, which they, like I said, based on where they are in the standings, they should maybe put a little effort into this one. It wouldn't take much to beat this Columbus team the way that they've played of late. I like the over, but I'm going to wait for this to come down to 5.5. I kind of lean with you on that Washington first period look. Maybe look for Washington to score the first goal. That's something I probably have. So these are two plays I have circled for in-game plays. It's mostly going to be an in-game night with the LA Carolina game and this Washington Columbus game. So I like over, and I like Washington to score first, but get better prices adjusted in-game.
Yeah, no doubt. And while I do like those, I'm going to be betting those two Washington looks. And I like the first period puck line more. I think it's a good prop game here as well to look at. Connor Sheary, by the way, back on the top line for the Capitals. Looks like he'll be back with Dylan Strome and Alex Ovechkin. And he's been someone that's been, capable of producing up there on that group. So going back to that top line, Connor Sheary is probably a good prop look for the Capitals here tonight in this game. Marcus Johansson, by the way, is moving up to the Oshie Backstrom line as well for the Capitals. And he's actually been performing nicely here in recent games. 4 points and 2 goals in the last 5 games for Marcus Johansson. So that could be someone you target in terms of props tonight. On the Columbus side, Kirill Marchenko has to be your first and foremost consideration. He's getting goals, it seems, routinely now, 4 in the last 4 games. He's certainly shown some offensive upside for the Jackets. So the other Kirill, the thrill, in the league. Everyone talks about the other Kirill, Kaprizov in Minnesota. Don't sleep on the other Kirill, Marchenko, here for Columbus. He's certainly played pretty well lately. Jenner's been good since he's come back. So props involving him, you could look in that direction as well. Kent Johnson as well. I've mentioned Kent Johnson a bunch of times. 2 goals and 3 points in the last 3 games for the Blue Jackets. And the captain, Boone Jenner, has 3 goals and 4 points in the last 5 games for the Blue Jackets. So all those players I mentioned are going to be player prop targets of mine here for this game tonight between the Capitals and the Blue Jackets. All right, great stuff. That is the Tuesday card. Hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube. We appreciate you tuning in. And also to all our podcast listeners, we appreciate you tuning into the Ice Guys show. Again, we're here 7 days a week, all season long, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. Tomorrow will be our final show before the All-Star break, and then we'll get a much-deserved 4-day break, Thursday to Sunday. No Ice Guys show, but we will be back Monday next week, the first day that play resumes following the All-Star break. Next Monday, February the 6th, will be our return date here for the Ice Guys after tomorrow's show. And you're going to want to not miss tomorrow's show, not only because it's going to be our last show for a few days and 2 pretty good games tomorrow night, Carolina, Buffalo, Boston, Toronto. We have a big announcement tomorrow about our next betcast. And we're looking forward to making this announcement. It's going to be something a little different, a little unexpected, but we're looking forward to making it known tomorrow when the next Ice Guys live betcast will be. And we will make that announcement on tomorrow's show. So make sure you join us for that. All right, we got best bets coming up right after we hear from both of our sponsors, Gramco and Manscaped.
All right, whether you or your team's game is on the field, screen, racetrack, or the ice, Gramco is for the game. Grown by farmers who spent years developing premium hemp genetics, Gramco provides customers with consistent quality Delta 8 products ready for any occasion. Gramco currently offers numerous Delta 8 products such as vape cartridges, disposable vapes, pre-rolls, gummies, wake and bake coffee, and more. Gramco offers an enjoyable legal high delivered discreetly and directly to you, and is also available at many American retailers as well. Get the best Delta 8 cannabis products on the market shipped quickly and discreetly from Gramco. If you visit www.thegramco.com, use promo code ICEGUYS, you get 25% off of any order, and all orders on the site that are $50 and higher are shipped free with standard shipping. So live elevated with Gramco and check out their wonderful Delta 8 products today.
Support for the Ice Guys is brought to you by Manscaped, our good friends at Manscaped, who are the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, courtesy of the Ice Guys. Get 20% off of any purchase and free worldwide shipping with the promo code Ice Guys. That's promo code Ice Guys, all one word, ICEGUYS at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, that's about 400 million balls that you can help preserve with manscaped.com using the promo code Ice Guys. You get the Performance Package 4.0. It is a game changer. The Lawnmower 4.0. It takes care of this, among other things. It'll keep you trim as can be. The Lawnmower 4.0, waterproof. Same thing with the Weed Whacker, which takes care of your ear hair, nose hair. I mean, nose hair in particular. You know, I'm getting up there in age, and nose hair is becoming definitely more of an issue. This will take care of it. It feels like someone's tickling the inside of your nostrils sometimes. It pisses the hell out of me. It bothers me. I need to take care of that shit. This will take care of it for you. The Weed Whacker makes part of the package that you get with your Manscaped purchase and the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. You also get the ball toner. You also get the ball deodorant, keep you smelling good and looking good and feeling good down in the nether regions. This package is really going to make you feel good and look good and look better, slim, trim. That's what it's all about. And manscaped.com can help you out with that. So make sure you take advantage of this. Manscaped.com. Get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code Ice Guys at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the promo code Ice Guys. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. All right, we're back here on the Ice Guys, and we're ready for best bets here on this Tuesday edition of the show. Alex, what do you got for best bet?
Let's go with the Ottawa Senators minus $1.20 in regulation against the Montreal Canadiens. The Ottawa team that's, seemed to finally getting some things going in the right direction. Won 3 games in a row, taking on a Montreal team that's just really beaten and banged up. I'm sure they're looking forward to having a few days off this All-Star break. Let's go with the Sens minus $1.20 to get it done within 60. That's my best bet for Tuesday.
All right, Ottawa in regulation, minus 120 against Montreal. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. Best bet for me, let's go with LA and Carolina over 6, even money, around minus 105, minus 110. I definitely think we'll see goals here with the Kings and the Hurricanes. It's a slim card, not much to choose from, but this stands out for me. LA and Carolina over 6 for my best bet for this Tuesday card. All right, that's a wrap. Make sure you join us tomorrow. Don't you miss it. It's your last chance to see the two of us for a few days on the Wednesday edition of the Ice Guys, and 2 great games to go into the break with. The Hurricanes and Sabres, the Bruins and the Leafs, a huge game in the Atlantic Division. We'll tee up those games tomorrow, and we'll make our big announcement when our next betcast will be on tomorrow's show as well. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck, and we will talk to you again tomorrow on Wednesday, our final show before the All-Star break of the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now.